somehow while studying mathematics, I met some friends, and we started communicating more and more, and we were interested in cultural things, in philosophy, in Eastern religions, and so on and so on. And then somehow I decided to try to write something. It became more interesting to me, and then I published some first poems somewhere in the newspapers, in magazines, and somehow I started writing more and more, and finally I came up to a book of poetry. My beginnings, they were in those old times when we lived in the Soviet Union, and where politics and all other pragmatic things, they were somehow foreign to me and to my friends. So we tried to do something not socially active, let's say. I even studied mathematics. For me, it was okay because it had nothing to do with I don't know, political and other things. So to be a little bit in distance with the reality at the moment. So that's why we're interested in Buddhism and other stuff, where the idea was to be more to look more inside than outside. I had a completely different idea of poetry than I have now, for example. So at the beginning, I was writing very abstract, almost metaphysical poems, where there were no concrete things. Just that I tried to evade, escape any concrete signs of life. So those poems were more metaphysical, I would say. But since some third or fourth book, some changes came just because of life, because of reading books, because of my other activities. I was working for the Institute of Art and Culture, and writing essays on culture, on the sacred in culture, on postmodernism in culture, and so on. And I moved to different kind of writing, step by step, and it was, I would say, it was like I started telling stories. And my fourth book, maybe this is the milestone, if it is possible to say so. It was called From Unwritten Stories. So, and this how I explain it, it was like I told some stories about my life, about small life, not about I don't know, the world's life, but about my life, and those stories which we are not included in any annals or historical works. Just this is my personal life, and somehow it corresponds to others' lives. And so for me it was important to tell some stories. At the beginning, I could mention Rainer Maria Rilke or Trakl or Tom Stearns Eliot. So they were important authors for me for the beginning. And later, I started translating some authors myself, mostly from Polish, because I find Polish poetry close to my understanding of writing, of poetry. So I did books of Zbigniew Herbert, Tadeusz Różewicz, Adam Zagajewski. So this was the trend of poetry which was close to me, and I'm not sure if I was really influenced by them, or it was like a parallel worlds, but somehow corresponding to each other. I think the main thing is to start. Just to start, to write something, because when I remember my first steps, it was a very strange feeling. It was like you were using words and you didn't know what it was like, what it was in fact. So it was like a very strange, like a, I don't know, from the some stuff from the moon. And then it took time to get closer to language, to understand what the language is in itself. We think that we know what language is, but actually you get to know it when you really start working with language, and then you understand that it's a very, very mysterious and very complicated, at the same time very attractive stuff. So you start, and then you just, after some years or I don't know, months, you will understand that it's interesting to you or not.